Hello and welcome to the NPTEL MOOCs course on computer graphics. I am Dr. Samit Bhattacharya. I will be the course instructor for this course, and in this course, in this introductory video, we are going to quickly go through what we are going to learn in this course, what you can expect out of this course. Now, the term computer graphics generally refers to the field of study that deals with the display mechanism, namely the hardware and software of a computer. In the early days, for most of us, computer meant what we got to see on the monitor of a desktop or a laptop. I am talking of scenarios about 20-30 years back. Then at that time, computer used to mean what we are seeing on the screen rather than what is inside the box. Now, for younger generation, current generation, of course, the desktop laptops, although they are still there, but they are more familiar with more wearable devices, smaller devices, a plethora of devices actually. Now, these devices come in various shapes, sizes with varying degrees of functionalities. Now, for example, smartphone, tablets or tabs, popularly called tabs, wearable computers such as smartwatch, smart glass and even smart television. Now, these varied devices that come in different shapes and sizes, that has been made possible with rapid technological changes, including changes in display technology. For example, the earlier generation CRT or cathode ray tubes were replaced by LCD or liquid crystal display, which was in between, came with much fanfare, then it got replaced with LED, then we have OLED, TFT and so on. But different display technologies are in use nowadays. Now, regardless of this state of the art technology in computing, in displays, the idea of computer has not changed to the user. It is still shaped primarily by what we get to see on the display. It is important to know that components of a computing system that give rise to this perception is actually what we are going to talk about in this course. Now, what are those components? The display hardware and the associated software and packages or algorithms. So, then what is computer graphics? Computer graphics is anything to do with the visual representation on a computer. As I said, our perception of a computer is primarily shaped by what we get to see on a quote unquote screen. Whatever process is involved, whatever components are involved, they are generally part of the computer graphics. Now, when we get to see something, there are several ways we see things and several things that goes to make us see those things. These include modeling, rendering and also animation. Broadly, these three types, which is modeling, rendering and animation, or the dynamics of moving objects. Let us see one example. So, here I have shown a screenshot of some system which shows how to create a face. Now, this is a model of a face. So, this is part of computer graphics, modeling. What we want to see, first stage is we have to model that. Then once the model is there, I want to see it on the screen, means from that model it needs to be converted by some means to something that we can see on the screen, that is called rendering. And thirdly, we want to see motion on the screen, that is something moving, or we want to get the perception of something moving. That is achieved in terms of a series of images or frames or rendered images temporally and spatially placed in a way such that we get that particular perception, that is called animation. Now, coming back to this basic question, what is this course all about? In this course, we shall learn how to do the modeling, how to do the rendering and also we shall learn how to do the animation. Now, this course content, of course, this modeling, rendering, animation is a these are broader concepts. Now, in order to do those things, we need many things that are underlying, that are behind the scene, that we do not generally as user get to know of. So, in this course we will learn all those background processes and resources used to make those processes possible. So, we will have a detailed discussion on the 3D graphics pipeline, that is how to render from a model to something on the screen, that is process of rendering. Then we will also learn about implementation of the pipeline. So, first we will talk about the pipeline and then we will see how the pipeline is implemented in a computer, so that we get the perception of a computer by seeing something on the screen. Now, this includes introduction to the graphics hardware as well as introduction to graphics programming and libraries or software. Along with that, the course will also talk about computer animation concepts, basic concepts of computer animation, how things are done in light of whatever we know of graphics pipeline. And then we will cover one important application area, that is multimedia, tools and technologies. Now, whatever we will talk in this course, in a major portion of the course are related to basic rendering. However, there are advanced rendering techniques. Towards the end, we will throw some light on this advanced photorealistic rendering techniques known as ray tracing. The course is organized in this way. This is roughly this will be the lecture plan. So, in the first week we will talk about the introduction in the field, introduction to the field including 3D graphics pipeline. In the second week we will talk about how to represent objects, that is essentially the modeling part. Third to seventh week of the course we will devote towards discussing various stages of the 3D graphics pipeline. In the 8th week we will talk about graphics hardware and software, libraries and packages. In the 9th week we will cover computer animation basic concepts. 10th and 11th week will be devoted to discussion on the application area, that is multimedia. So, essentially we will cover multimedia concepts, tools and technologies primarily. 12th week will be used to wrap up the discussions. We will talk about some mathematical backgrounds to understand the graphics process as well as the advanced rendering techniques, namely ray tracing. Along with that, we will have a concluding remarks in that last week. I will primarily follow this book written by me, that is computer graphics. However, there will be some other reference books as well. If you are interested, you can go through these books. These include the Hearn and Becker book, Foley book, Angel, Hill and Sarle et al. So, these are reference books. I will primarily cover from the book I have written. Most of the material will be from there, but some of these things can be further clarified by following these reference books. You are welcome to make use of those. So, that is in summary what we are going to do in this course. We will learn about the basic process that gives rise to the perception of computer to us, that is known as computer graphics. We will primarily focus on rendering. The first stage of rendering is object representation. Also, we will focus on motion or animation, plus we will cover some application area, namely multimedia. I am looking forward to see you all in the course. Thank you. Happy learning.